So to top off our video series on the Amber, Amethyst, Snow White deck, I've shown you guys the deck breakdown, the meta matches, and just some of the insane combos that you can pull off with this deck. Now I just want to show you how it deals a little bit with aggro and kind of some rogue decks. So in this video, we're going to see us go against Sapphire Emerald aggro. And we went second in this one as well, so aggro decks going first are usually very strong, and you've seen us go second against Amber, Emerald, Mufasa and still pull out the win. We're going to go up against an Amber Steel Bodyguard deck, which should be increasing in popularity because we've got some interesting bodyguards coming in the next set into the Inklands. And I forgot the third matchup, but I guess we'll get to it when we get to it. In this one, though, the opponent is focusing on the, very aggro-focused Sapphire cards, which is strange to say because they basically didn't have this in set 1, and in set 2 they got obviously like Duke Weaselton, Caterpillar, and they even have a draw engine in the Hiram, so they have all the pieces that they need in order to kind of play this style of deck. But the opponent, unfortunately, is not going to be able to deal with my board, and when I have an advantage generating card like the Queen Commanding Presence, this is a card that really just devastates aggro because they have to continue to quest, otherwise they lose their tempo. So they don't really have too much in terms of taking care of your board. But when I have a card like the Queen, this is what happens because I'll just constantly out every single threat you play. Yes, you'll get to quest with your stuff, but look at my lore, look at your lore, you are on the play. And look at my board developing and the lack of board that you have because I'm constantly going to be able to out your board. So in this situation, the opponent really does need to crash their Hans into my Queen, but they opt to just say, no, I'm going to go all in on the aggro strategy. And it could work for them. They could just end up racing me and winning the game since they were on the play. They are technically going to be able to quest to 21st if they just continue to drop high questing threats. But the problem is, well, not really problem, but I guess what they don't know is I have that Exerting Pinocchio, and just like I explained in my other videos, this is the card that helps you claw back tempo. So yes, I can't use it on the Cusco here, but I could use it on the Genie to tap it down and then use Queen in order to boost up the Peter Pan Shadow. Now, obviously they bounce back my Queen and they quest with the Cusco, so they're down to one card in hand, and I'm going to be able to deal with this Cusco by double crashing my Maleficent, so it slows me down a little bit, but all in all, like, this Pinocchio is potentially what's going to clutch out the game for me in order to stop my opponent from doing their final quest to get up to 20, because whatever they play in the ready state that they plan to quest with, I'll just tap it down with the Pinocchio, assuming it's not like a awarded character, and then be able to out it. So unfortunately they do end up drawing into their second Cusco here, and I'm like, okay, that's interesting. But again, questing with the Genie, that's just a free out for us once again with the Pan Shadow, right? Quest with the Queen, get the 2 lore, and do the debuff and buff. And again, free advantage for us. We drop the Ursula to claw back the lore, and just like that, we're once again within 1. The opponent has no cards in hand, or I guess 1 now, withdrawing for turn, and a Cusco on board that's going to get outed next turn. They do end up top decking a Pete, questing with the Cusco, and then I guess they just become salty here, knowing that they're going to lose. So for all the videos where I say I don't mean to BM, in this instance, I 100% mean to BM because this opponent just like sat there and waited for the timer instead of passing turn, because clearly they can't do anything else here. So at first I was just like giving them the well played. I'm like, okay, are you still there? Like, genuinely good match, I guess. And then, yeah, they're just like, I guess I'm just going to wait because they lost. So yeah, the time is going to run out, and we're going to end up just going for game here because we do have a goat. So yeah, we quest with Queen, and yeah, small Queen, Ursula, and the Shadow, and then to go to 19, we just drop the goat. So GG's. Okay, so this is the other match here. So Amethyst Steel. Hey, and for once we're finally going first. We're going to start up with inking a goat and passing turn because we have no 1-drop. I think I was still playing Pocket Watch in this version, so again, this is one of the reasons why you might want to play the Olaf. We drop a Snow White with no effect being triggered, basically. They drop a blue fairy, and I'm like, all right, well, I think it's time to drop either a Rafiki or a Mim Fox. Yeah, just quest with the Snow White. No, not even. Why not? Am I fearing a Mim Fox on their end, maybe? Okay. They're gonna, okay, they smash anyways. That's fine. They're gonna quest with the blue fairy, and I'm gonna drop the Pan Shadow and then just take it out with that, with the Pan Shadow actually, so I can quest with the Rafiki most likely. Opting to keep the Rapunzel because it's at least a draw 1. This is what I talk about in the deck list video that again is linked in the description. About early on, Rapunzel is nice for an additional +1. It's a 1/5 body, so it's hard to out early on, and it also quests for 2, and it's usually going to get you 1 or 2 damage off of your rush characters here, and be able to draw you a card, which is always nice. So again, yeah, running into a little bit of the uninkable problem here. Probably should not play this Pinocchio. Okay, I do. Tap down. I guess it makes sense because if they drop a Beast Tragic Hero, they draw. But then I'd rather keep the Pinocchio for the Beast Tragic Hero. It would have been nice to establish Queen as well, so that I could then follow up with the Pinocchio, tap down the Tragic Hero, and then use Queen to quest and do the buff debuff. Okay, they're going to end up smashing my Shadow though, and then using Jafar to take out the Rafiki. That's fine. 3 cards to 2, and our Rapunzel is kind of dead. Why do I ink that? Shouldn't I have played that? Okay, never mind. That makes sense. Yeah, just outright play the Snow White. No sense in setting up for the shift. Because the opponent on Amethyst Steel shouldn't really have a way to deal with this. Oh, they play a Grab Your Swords, and that's just fantastic for us, right? Because now our Rapunzel is instantly online. So we're first of all going to take a look at what we want to potentially get back here. We draw into yet another Rapunzel and a Snow White, which is kind of insane. And I think we probably should take the Pinocchio. Yeah, the opponent isn't really going to drop anything here that's too threatening. Like, they'd have to have... Even a Mim Fox doesn't take out the Snow White. And this is one of the reasons why Snow White is so good. The 5 toughness is really irrelevant. I mean, it still dies to Maui, but, you know, again, when you protect it with bodyguards, you're going to get multiple quests off. They drop a Rabbit, which is pretty strong, but, you know, Rabbit generates a draw, and our Snow White is going to generate a... Oh, man, I shouldn't have inked that Rapunzel. Is going to generate a free... Oh, and I top deck another one. Free resource from the graveyard. Can I get my sentences out? Oh my goodness. Okay, so Rapunzel, instant draw 2 again, and a Surfer Stitch. That is wild. Tap down. Yeah. Should I have used Pocket Watch and crashed the Pinocchio so that I could have taken it back? But I guess not, because I'm using the Rapunzel, I guess, to take out the Rabbit instead of questing. Which I guess makes sense, because even if I got back a Rafiki, I couldn't take it out. I'm just trying to put them on nothing to prevent them from Mim bouncing, I guess. They're going to drop a Hercules here, pretty strong. And that's going to likely prevent us from questing with the Snow White. But I will quest with the Rapunzels, because, again, they have to deal with... This is what's crazy, right, guys, with this deck. They have to deal with my boy. They have to take out my Rapunzels. They're questing for 2. You take out my Rapunzel, I'm going to just get it back with the Snow White. And then I'm just going to heal my Snow White, and I'm going to draw additional... How do you break the loop? You need Maleficent Dragon, Hades, Infernal Schemer, Be Prepared, Dragonfire. You need to remove the Snow White, where it can't be protected with a bodyguard. It can't be protected from challenging. It's readied up. Like, the opponent, look, there's nothing they can do, right? Like, they have to take out a Rapunzel, and I'm like, yeah, you have to take that out. You have to. I draw a Queen. That's broken. Not broken, but it's pretty good. Yep, and I draw more bodyguards. Do I want to throw down a Maximus here? I guess it'll do 2 damage to the Hercules when they crash into it. The Goat doesn't take it out, because again, the 5 toughness stat line. So look how relevant 5 toughness is. And look at our board. Like, a Grab Your Swords would only do so much. Yeah, they know there's nothing they can do. They don't even bother questing with the Goat first. They're just kind of showing me what they had in their hand. But there's nothing they can really do here. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is the first match I think I've shown on the channel with this deck going first, and you can just see how insane it is to, like, what the hell is this, bro? If I saw this, I'd just be like, what is even happening? Like, this deck makes no sense, but it works. Anyways, in this final matchup, we have Amber Steel, and we're going first again. That's nice. A couple uninkables, Snow White, Pinocchio, and Rafiki. Like I talked about in the deck list, the Pinocchio and the Rafiki aren't actually that bad. The Snow White, yes, it does hurt, but again, if we have a small Snow White, being able to shift that early is nice. Oh my goodness, look at this. This is insane. Yeah, this is why Pinocchio is just insane in this deck, right? Like, really good. Tap down the Lilo. No early quest for you. No early lore. Dealing with aggro. Very, very nice. And again, this is another reason why you want to play Olaf instead of Pocket Watch, probably, because that 1-drop really does help you deal with aggro decks. But again, because you play these tap down characters, like, I mean, I guess the Pinocchio is really the only thing you play early on. That's kind of what you want to see. And if you don't see a Pinocchio, the aggro does kind of, I don't want to say run over you, but it's harder for you to deal with. They smash my Rafiki, and I ink a Friends because, again, running into that uninkable problem. I'd rather put the body on board in the Rapunzel, at least it replaces itself, than just hard cast a Friend, so that's why I made that decision. The opponent is sticking with this Cinderella. They drop a bodyguard Donald Duck, which is a 2/5 body, which is pretty relevant here. So now they're able to safely quest with their Cinderella. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'll quest with the Rapunzel because it's pretty safe. Once again, in that situation where I kind of have to ink the Maximus because I don't have any other ink, and I'm trying to get to the Snow White. So I know on Steel Amber, they don't really have outright removal for my Snow White, so I should be pretty safe in order to drop this and then quest with it next turn. Unfortunately, they are going to be able to get their draws off of Beast because it is protected by a bodyguard, even if I did or was able to exert it. So that's unfortunate. They're going to let the Storm Rage on my Queen because obviously they fear Shift Queen, which would absolutely devastate their Donald Duck bodyguard. That's another thing, right? The Queen and Maximus both just like annihilate any other bodyguards that you might run into. They do establish a Tabard, which is really good, and they opt to quest with everything. We draw into another Pocket Watch here. And I'm going to go opt to ink that because at this point I'm like, well, I'm fine racing you actually because I have the bigger questers on board. And unless you want to start throwing your stuff into my stuff, like I'm actually totally fine with this. I probably should grab a Queen back for ink just in case. Yeah. No point in getting the Rafiki here because I'd have to throw Ursula and Rafiki into the Donald, and then I have to throw something else into Beast to damage it. But yeah, I don't want to give you card draw off of those Tabards, so it's kind of like, I'll just race you, right? I mean, I have 4/7 lore on board, right? And so I'll go to 18, and I'll probably draw into a goat at some point. And in Snow White, yeah, you take out my threats, and it's just like, I'll just get him back. Yeah, I guess we drop Maleficent here, see what we draw. A Maximus, yeah, Inca Queen, drop a Maximus in bodyguard mode, which means you can't take out anything. You have to throw multiple bodies into that bodyguard, and you can't deal with my board. I just quest for game next turn. So this is another situation where you don't need to play the control game, you play the race game. And in the race, I won. So yeah, you can see the dynamic versatility of this deck. That's going to wrap it up for this video though, guys. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, and let me know what you think of the deck overall. Thank you again for watching. Quantum is out.